Um, I need to talk about change. Change is inevitable. Change is happening all around us. Change happens all the time. Sometimes forcefully, sometimes we make a goal to change specific pieces of our lives. Sometimes we do it with like micro personality shifts. Sometimes all of a sudden you're stuck in like a bind and you need to change the things that you're doing in your life because it doesn't fit. And I think we need to talk about what we have to do to adapt to specific moments in our lives. We have a new year coming close. It's happening so fast, you know? 2016 wasn't just 2 years ago. 2016 is 10 years ago when everything felt so safe and calm. But now, through our lives, through going through specific moments, we've learned that we have to adapt to a lot of these pieces of change. It's scary, it's terrifying. Like, I didn't know how hard it would be to just try to think about trying to get a new job, try to think about learning how to shift my creative presence from film to photography to a creative environment to this to that. It's weird, but you never know where you're gonna be at. So there's little things that you do to change in your life, such as, hey, I don't want to drink sugary drinks anymore, so I'm gonna stop. You know, um, you have 2026 goals in your life, maybe. So it just got fucking suddenly quiet and calm, which is really cool. But that's a change. What the heck, you know? Like, change happens all around us all the time. And it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's exciting, you know? Like, there's things that you could, like, all of a sudden, you were so complacent, you were so comfortable, you had a routine in your life, and then boom, like, it's different. Something else, like, shifts, like, because you're not drinking those sugary drinks anymore, you've noticed that you have a lot of higher energy. You feel a lot more healthier, you know? Um, that's a change that maybe you wanted to do for yourself. But let's also talk about the change that you didn't want, change that was forced upon you. Change such as, like, you're not in a relationship anymore, or you're not in the best financial situation for yourself anymore. And you're forced to shift into, dang, I need to reduce my spending habits, or my health is at play. So I need to take in consideration like what I put into my body, my diet, like all those type of things like are an everlasting impact on your life. And you're the person who gets to choose those things. And then sometimes, like I said, like they're forced upon you. So you have to learn how to adapt to that change rapidly. Cause sometimes, let's just say, like, forbid this from happening, but like let's just say you get into something like a traumatic accident. All of a sudden you can't work. What are you going to do to, first of all, you got to think financially. How are you going to save like that? Then you got to think about, your health wise. How are you going to physically get back into what you need to do? You got to think about yourself emotionally. Like, how are you going to take care of like the thought process that you have in your day? Because now you're not going to work every day, and you need to think about, what's going to occupy your mind, which is a scary thought process, but you need to learn how to take into consideration some of those big leaps. Um, Change happens fast and slow. It happens at all levels, like I'm saying, and it's just like, I think, for example, right? There's this theory, and I don't know what it's really called, but basically, it's like a complacency theory. Basically, it was saying sometimes you're better off if you were in a worse situation than you are now. Let me get to it. So, essentially, for example, let's say that you have a job that's, you're comfortable in, you're complacent. It's not probably giving you the best amount of money that you want it to, but it's enough to pay the rent, it's enough to pay the bills, and to barely scoot by, right? But let's just say something, like, forbid this happening, but like you lose that job because something ran, some HR policy, some LP policy, and then boom, you lose it. And then in that situation, you're like, damn, I have to adapt. Now I need to look for a job. You're in Indeed every day, like looking for something, and something pops up. Oh, I think I could do good at this. Boom. You go through the interview process, you get hired, you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden, like the worry of not being financially stable is gone. And then all of a sudden, you're moving up in ranks in this new situation, and then all of a sudden, it's better than what you were doing. And it's like, what the heck? Like, maybe I should have left a long time ago because in this new situation, like, I have a new set of eyes, I have a new set of understanding and feeling, and I get a lot more benefits than I do now. Like, always take the situation that you're in and try to learn from it, or maybe create like new paths for yourself. And then change doesn't have to be like 100% like that's gonna happen. Let's just say you make like a goal and you change something and you realize that wasn't the proper situation that you should have been in, or you shouldn't have made that change. It's okay to make a mistake and be like, damn, I don't like this change. I need to go back to what I was doing, or like this was a better situation for me. You know, we're all human. We make mistakes. Like, we get to realize that maybe I wasn't like this pursuit wasn't in for me. And then I think I was battling with that for a long time. Like, dude, like if I'm like getting into the film essence of things, then I need to do it this way or that way or this way. And then maybe there's like alternate reasons why I couldn't get there. So I had to adapt really fastly. I had to change. Like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll do photography. It's a little bit not easier in a sense, but it's a little easier for me to do it like a one man band type of situation and get more people involved than I could with like just building a team and creating something big. Like, I still do want to, and I still love the film community and the film people in life, but like that wasn't creating something for myself. So I had to just like let it go and change something about myself, and while still like trying to be in the field that I love and care about. And change has been happening a lot like in my own life, and then I've been learning how to adapt to those situations. And some of these situations aren't the easiest things to go about, but you know, we're still kicking, we're still, you know, pushing forward towards like these situations, and it's cool. But maybe you have to take into consideration of the things that you're doing right now, and what are the things that you want to do, and how can you get there. Sometimes like that leap is just terrifying. There's no way that I could do it that way. Like, what about my job, what about my financial? And I've like in my bones, like in the deepest depths of who I am, my main thing is just like security and safety and shelter. Like, I need that to be like number one priority in my life and for the people that I care about. So when like I think of change and I think of doing something other than that, it's like, dude, you're going against all your values and your cares about. But maybe like I create that change and it creates myself to be a little bit happier and a little bit more um, available to the things that I care about and I love. And I can't stop myself there. I can't stop myself. It's just like, okay, like I'm comfortable, so I'm just gonna keep doing this because if I'm comfortable, and then like no hate on people who are comfortable, you know, they probably like wanted to settle and have a family, and like that's the beautiful type of situations that people put themselves in. And even then, like you had to change by like a specific attitude, that you have a lot more patience because you have kids, or a lot more understanding financially because, you know, a mortgage is different, property taxes, like stuff that you got to think about when you own a home, or stuff you have to think about when you have kids, you know, like time and the amount of time that you have for yourself or your kids. But maybe you mastered how to do that comfortably, you know? Let's say you have kids and you're like, dude, I know how to take care of them and I know how to understand, but it's like, dude, like maybe I don't give myself enough time, you know? Like maybe, you know, like because you have a family and stuff, like you forgot to take care of yourself. So you backtrack and you're like, let me just do a couple hours of just being with me and like falling back in love with myself. You know, that's also something that you could do, some a change that you could achieve in your life, because you deserve to be able to love yourself again, or love yourself in a way. And maybe, like, you do that, so you have to talk to your spouse and your kids about it, like, hey, like, in this time, like, I need to be alone because I'm doing this and that. Like, if your family loves and cares about you, they're gonna be like, yeah, dude, go do that. Like, I'm glad at that time, like, you get to experience this or that. I think we all just have to take into considerations ourselves and the change that we want for ourselves. And then as we get into this new year, tackle some of those bucket lists, tackle some of those, what's that thing called when you get into the year and you like create like a list. Obviously it's like a bucket list, but like there's other things like 2026, like goals and stuff like that. I mean, do the best you possibly can. Like, you're not gonna hit every single one of like those situations, or maybe you do, and like all all good to you. But like, damn, like, do everything else and try your hardest to achieve some of those goals. Like, I'm gonna be rooting for you, and at the same time, I'm gonna try to get into my goals and love what I'm doing and love the situations that I've put myself in. But yeah, I think change is coming. So adapt to it quickly, adapt to it slowly, but you're gonna have to adapt and then love yourself in the process, basically. Yeah, yeah.